I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Sitting together.
Madam Clerk, are there any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda?
No, there are no additions or deletions tonight.
Are there any corrections to the minutes of the regular meeting from February 1st, 2016? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So the minutes stand as approved. We'll move on to reports. I want to thank you for joining us here this evening and welcome you to, is this a regularly scheduled meeting? Yes. We have our meetings on the first and the third Monday of every month, and we record the meetings for the convenience of our residents, and you can see those on our website, and you can watch them on Channel 17 on Thursday evenings, I think at 9:30. And again, I wanted to welcome you here. I have a few things I wanted to talk about. On our website, you'll find, oh yeah, that's what, we'll do that. I left it in the car. So the first thing we'll talk about is the fact that previous supervisor Doug Carlton, who was a resident of the township for his entire life and served as a constable, as a trustee, and as supervisor, he passed away on the 3rd of February, and his funeral was last Friday. And I would like to take this time and ask you if you would join me in a moment of silence in his honor. Doug was only 62 years old when he passed away, and that really is hard to comprehend and accept because his life ended really young. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, it's a prayer to the Lord, teach us to number our days aright that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And I just encourage us all to live life to the fullest while you have it, because you have no idea. It's short. So we move on and bring to your attention that Genesee County Water and Waste, the Drain Commission, puts out a water quality report. And you'll notice on our table out here in the foyer, they look like this. They're folded up. The latest information they have is from 2014. It's the Consumer Confidence Report. It's a water quality report. We put a link on our website. You can have a hard copy for yourself. It tells you what the quality of our water is. And you can also check it out on the Genesee County Drain Commission website. So we put that out there for our residents. It's always been available. Every year they mail a water quality report to your home. And if you're interested, it's here, or you can find it on the website. Speaking of water, the last couple of, last Friday and then the Saturday before, Marcia Benelli, our treasurer, who oversees our water department, was contacted by Frank Zuccarelli. He's a supervisor of Thornton Township in Illinois. And they wanted to partner with Flint Township. We have 28, give or take, franchise customers. The franchise customers are people, they're residents of our township, they pay taxes in Flint Township, and they are on city water because there was not a water line for Flint Township available. So they live in the township, they pay their taxes in the township, but they receive service from the Flint City Water. And so we've contacted them over the last year to let them know that they're franchise customers. You would know with your bill if you were a franchise customer because it says FCW behind the service address on your bill, Flint City Water. So Thornton Township drove a couple of trucks filled with bottled water. And how many volunteers did we have?
At least 20.
20 volunteers. They're elected officials, most of them, and staff. They took their Saturday last week and drove up 2 trucks of water and a bus that they use for their senior citizen center, and they dropped off water. The first delivery was to Sunridge Apartments on the north side of Flushing Road, and then last Friday, right in the middle of the funeral, I left because they were delivering to Fire Station 2 a bigger truckload of water, and we took delivery. And we had a few police officers there. Thank you, Chief Sippert, for sending them for assistance. Jason McClanahan, who was on duty at Station 2. Tracy Tucker came on over. And 6 of their volunteers, and we unloaded a truckload of water that's we've started to pass out to our franchise customers. So it was written up in the View this last Thursday, and so they did it again. They donated water. They plan on coming again. And just to let those franchise customers know, and I don't mean to take up your time here on the story, but we've contacted the franchise customers. We've passed out water to them. We've made known that if you have any questions, you can dial 211. That's the network that the state has set up. The city, county, and the state, they're all working with the 211 system in the city of Flint. Lieutenant Roach from the state police contacted you to make sure that every franchise customer in Flint Township received a water filter. And we are making sure that every franchise customer receives a test kit. So we know exactly what we're dealing with when we try to go forward helping our customers. So I think that's all I wanted to say on the water report. I have a few more things. I want to remind people that we are still trying to push people to get their homes properly marked so that if there was an emergency and you need services, that our first responders would be able to find your home, because there's a lot of homes that aren't clearly marked. And there's an application here. It's just a phone number. You call and they'll come out and they'll mark your street number on your on a little metal piece that goes on your mailbox so that it's not hidden by the snow on the curb and it's not hidden by bushes on the garage, that it's properly marked. It's $20, and a few dollars of that $20 goes to our fire station. I wanted to mention that, I'll let you talk about that one. The Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission has sent us their 2015 year in review. We'll have that here on display for anybody who wants to see it. I'm sure you can find it online on their website, but they send this out to all the municipalities every year to show you how much money they spent and where they spent it. We came in this week. We also got correspondence from the Legal Service of Eastern Michigan. And I'll read its correspondence to this board. Dear Ms. Miller, the Fair Housing Center of Eastern Michigan, established in 1997, is a division of Legal Services of Eastern Michigan. Its mission is to ensure equal housing opportunities for all people regardless of race, sex, age, color, religion, national origin, familial, marital, and disability status. As an enforcement agency funded by United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, that's HUD, one of our goals is to conduct impact projects that help identify and resolve problems in the community. One such project this year was to conduct an analysis of all municipality parking lots to ensure that they are in compliance with Title II, Subtitle A of the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA. Standards for accessible design, Section 504, Public Act of 1976 as amended, which prohibits discrimination on a basis of disability in all services, programs, activities provided to the public by state and local government. The audit reveals that 16 out of 33 municipalities are in compliance with ADA regulations, leaving 18 units of government in violation of federal regulation. Included with this letter is a copy of the analysis of municipality parking compliance in Genesee County 2015. The study includes the results of the parking audit and a table showing the infractions. According to the most recent census, Flint Township has 17% of its population as persons with a disability. Therefore, it is imperative to have accessible parking lot and office accessibility. The Federal Housing Commission extends sincere congratulations to Flint Township for having an accessible parking area that is in compliance with federal regulation. We appreciate Flint Township's efforts to affirmatively further fair housing. Keep up the great work. Along with a copy of the study are 2 fair housing brochures. Feel free to make additional copies to provide to the community members. The Fair Housing Commission is available to support Flint Township in their endeavors to promote fair housing practices within your community. And I want to thank the clerk, Kim Courts, who has pushed, especially with elections and accessibility to this building, to make sure that we have handicap accessible access through our parking lot and our doors and our bathrooms, which are in compliance. So we received congratulations from HUD on that. And the last thing I want to state is I have here a resignation letter from a volunteer. I'll read it to the board. To the Board of Trustees from Dave Arcio, Genesee County Road Commissioner. Did you want to stand up, Mr. Arcio, so we can see who you are? It says, thank you for appointing me to represent the Charter Township of Flint on the Metro Alliance Committee of the Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission. It has been a pleasure serving Flint Township and its residents in this capacity. In January, I was chosen to serve as chairman of the County Board of Road Commissioners. So please accept my resignation as a representative for Flint Township on Metro Alliance. So we'll put that in the record today too. And
I object to that resignation.
we want to
We
thank
need
you.
you there.
We want to thank you for your service, and we want to congratulate you on being, is it chosen or elected or appointed as the chairman of the, oh. Well, now you're chairman of the county road commissioners, so congratulations on that also.
Now remember, you only have 3 minutes.
How you doing? Now, this is an individual that has only known me for about 40 years, okay? And the gentleman there.
Yeah, you were only 5 then, weren't you?
Madam Chairman, members of the Charter Township of Flint Trustees, good evening. Yes, I had to do this with reference to it. I was appointed this year to be the chairperson for the Genesee County Road Commission. And all of a sudden, that calendar that had just 1 or 2 little black dates on it, all of a sudden it started going like one of these little numbers on it. And it really got loaded in a hurry. So much so I said I had to file back. But it was being appointed to the Metropolitan Alliance Committee and being a member of your Road Advisory Committee got me involved with reference to knowing about roads, the funding, how they turn right around and make the percentages with reference to the conditions of the roads. All of this, it made a little bit more sense rather than what I just saw and some words that I've heard. It was this township that saw something in me, and it was this little committee I will say was made up of concerned citizens such as John Whiteside who's sitting back there. We are without question on this one here today, and I think the supervisor don't want to take too much of her thunder. We had an opportunity to talk about the roundabout at Bristol Road and the plant. Again, the question was raised by the supervisors with reference to the amount of activity that there is going to entail, the cost, with reference to what is it that it's going to entail in here. It's a big project. For us, it's a big project. It's not like the one that's on Elms and Hill Road, which is out there in agricultural country. This one here is right here going to be done in our backyard. I am concerned about it. I am concerned because much of our activity is with the General Motors Corporation. Much of the subcontracting that's done with reference to parts that are used by this plant and the engine plant goes right off Linden Road, where they do the particular subcontracting and do them by truck to ship them just on time. I sat there about a year and a half ago, Madam Supervisor, and I counted 4 such semis coming in from 23 North, coming off of the expressway and waiting there to get into the entrance of David Street, which takes them back into the back where they can unload. And I'm looking at these 4 semis. There's 60 footers at least. And I'm thinking, what are we going to do with that roundabout? And I've tried to make that an emphasis because this project is not the Genesee County Road Commission project. This project is by the Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT. That is the ones that are doing this project, not us. In other words, we had a situation, and it's right here in our own backyard, of a project that we were looking at, which was right here in Corona. And the citizenship of this township said, no. It was set aside. They had their reasons, but they said no. This project here is put on by MDOT. We have no control with reference to those particular projects. Same thing with the projects that are done on the expressways with reference to this one here. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. A lot of it has put, I shouldn't say a lot, because quite a bit of it has been put on the back burner because of the water situation that we're in. It's devastating. It's devastating to the fact that it hurts our future, which is right now 2 and 3 years old, and that hurts, and it hurts very deeply. It hurts because there were some elected officials that wanted to take the easy way out, and they did, and we're suffering the consequences. And those consequences, my friends, we are not going to be able to really understand until life moves forward. So I appreciate the education that you have given me with your little road advisory. Yes, I will be serving as chairperson for 1 year. They only trust me for 12 months. Can you imagine that, George? Just 12 months. That's all. I mean,
You gotta get the votes.
it's just like the 3 minutes that you're going to give me here.
So we wanted to say thank you for your service, and we're very glad that you are representing, I know you're supposed to represent the entire county, but being a resident of this township, we're in good hands at the Road Commission having you there. Thank you, Mr. Arcio.
Okay, thank you very much.
You timed it pretty good.
So, I wanted to mention, as you brought that up, Mr. Arcio, that at Roads and Bridges meeting this morning, MDOT, 2 representatives were there, and Larry Doyle, and I don't remember the other guy's name, but I requested that they come to a township board meeting and make that presentation for our residents to be informed, because we hear it, and road advisory tells people, and just like you did, it's an MDOT project, but they need to get the word out as to what's going on. So hopefully they'll be here in March, maybe April. The project's scheduled to start in July, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's all one more thing on my report. This is for the trustees. The Michigan Township Association, Genesee County chapter is having their monthly meeting on February 18th, and Flint Township will be the host that evening. We're going to be meeting over at the Police Department Community Room at 7 p.m., so please join us. Or I might be there without you. Alrighty, so that's Thursday, 7 p.m., and it's at the Police Department. Madam Clerk, do you have a report for us this evening?
I have a couple of things I'd like to mention tonight to all board members here at the table. We did receive correspondence from Carmen Ainsworth Community Schools requesting business donation request. This is an annual event, the Carmen Ainsworth High School 2016 Post-Graduation Party Committee. What they're doing is requesting a donation, as you can see on the second page. They're bronze, silver, gold, platinum, Cavalier, Hero sponsor. Takes place on June 1st, 2016, after the graduation commencement. It is held at the high school from 10 p.m. until 5 p.m. The goal is to provide a fun and safe environment after commencements. In the packet in front of you, it says their goal this year is to raise $15,000. I know as board members, we have done this in the past, so I'd like to make sure that we take this into consideration and see what we can do to put some money towards Carmen Ainsworth post-grad commencement. And anybody wants to talk to me, I'll be glad to go ahead and collect the money and take care of it.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Anything else?
I do have just want to remind everyone, we have our upcoming presidential primary election, which is March 8th. Absentee ballots are here. We are open from 8 a.m. until 5:30 p.m., Monday through Thursday. If you're requesting an absentee ballot, I do also want to mention, please be careful when you request that application. Look at one. That request is to declare which ballot you're asking for. You'll have to mark that box. If you don't mark that box, we're going to look for you again because we won't know which ballot to give you. There are two ballots, a Democratic ballot and a Republican ballot. You must mark that box so we can send you the ballot. Also, I had my election commission meeting tonight to approve our election workers. As you can see in the room, we have several machines here. It's not an easy task. It takes many days to make sure that we test the ballots to make sure that they're correct. For a simple election like this that people think, each one of those ballots took 149 ballots per precinct just to check to make sure that each one of them worked properly. In absentee ballot, precincts 16 and 17, it took over 1,000 ballots just to check to make sure that works. The machines that you see on the other side are auto marks. They're like a big pencil. What they do is they mark the ballot for you. Those are called HAVA. They're Help America Vote Act machines. They're for people that are handicapped, that are blind, that are paralyzed. Anybody can use them, but we have to check all those machines specifically just the same way we check any other machine. So it does take a lot of time and a lot of commitment to check those. Other than that, I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Leverett, I forgot to introduce you. You're up. Mr. Leverett is going to tell you what project he's working on, and you have in front of you the flyer that he's going to speak to us about. Mr. Leverett has been recently appointed to our Road Advisory Committee, and he's a resident of the township, and he has a great concern for the water issue, and so I'll let you take it from there, Mr. Leverett.
Well, I'm Gene Leverett, Mr. Leverett, from 5210 Scenic View Drive in Flint Township, and a former resident of Flint. And what I have here today is some information that I'd like to share with you. And in collaboration with the names listed above on the flyer that you picked up on your way in, and if you didn't pick up one on the way in, I passed out some to some of the people in here. And if you don't have one, I have one that you can get. But what we're trying to do, as I said, in collaboration with all of the names that's listed on there, there's 11 names that's on that flyer. And what we're looking at is trying to assist those franchise community.
Customers,
I think it
yeah.
was 28 of them. And then we're going to take the residual and take into Flint. And I've been made many offers tonight about this collaboration. But what we like to see happen is all of us can come together as a cooperative group and put it together and make these donations. We having donations from the residents, the businesses, the church groups, and civic leaders, and it's being donated. We like for them to donate their time, and the water. And we designated a site, which is on that flyer, which is Kingdom of Heaven Ministries, and they're going to be the bottle collectors of the water. And we're going to start this here roughly tomorrow, which will be the 17th. And we intend on taking it through to March the 4th of 2016. But we got a lot of offers, as I said. We got a lot of offers from different agencies or businesses, and they called me tonight and told me that the Coca-Cola company is offering up for anyone that's planning on ordering a truckload or etc. You can call them and recognize this here initiative that we're taking as neighbors helping neighbors on this water drive, and they'll assist you and deliver this water to this here site for us. And then we have to get together as residents and businesses and distribute it to the community. And so if we can make that happen for our community, as I said, we got the collaboration of the support and supported by these here 11 people that's on here. I couldn't put everybody's name on here, but you all are recognized as business, residents, and community, civic leaders, and all. So let's keep looking up. Let's do what we can to recognize and honor this here flyer as neighbors helping neighbors. That's for the water drive. And as well, we want to make sure that we understand that these are our neighbors. So that's what we want to do, is try to help them. I thank God for what Mr. Arso stated about what's the crisis that's happening in Flint. So we need to band together and support that, because who knows next. And they informed me today as well that it's other cities all over the country that's having the same problems.
So if anyone has any questions, they can either, they can call Kingdom of Heaven Ministries for any information as far as drop-off. But if anyone has a question, they can give you a call at the number on the flyer. The flyers are available out here, and if you need any...
I passed them out as well.
Alrighty, we're all set. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you for the
Leverett.
time, Madam Supervisor.
Thank you
and the
very
board.
much. Thank you. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
I just wanted to recognize Trustee Belinda and Trustee Barbert for helping out with the water, spending the day, getting your exercise. And also Rhonda Sanders was there all day too, taking pictures and helping out. And Tracy was there. And Karen.
And
Well,
Kimberly.
Karen named most of them, but she forgot.
I forgot because that was a week ago, but
Right.
somebody you drag with you all the time is your
Yes,
daughter.
my daughter.
And Kurt was there also.
Yep.
So we had a handful of people.
Yes, we did.
Helping other people.
Yeah.
What?
And we needed all of them too, so. Next, motion to pay the bills, please.
There's a motion to pay the bills. Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any questions on the motion? No? Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to pay the bills.
Mrs. Parker? Yes. Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes?
Ms. Corts, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Munitis?
Yes.
Mrs. Burt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Anything else, Madam Treasurer?
No.
Do we have any trustee reports?
Well, I have one. Really not important. Mr. Leverett, you changed hats again. What happened to that green hat?
I knew you was gonna say that, and I knew you was gonna ask that question. So I know you probably looking at this hat as Chicago Bulls, but I recognize the hat to me as being, as C recognizes the church.
Oh, I thought it was Carmen.
Oh,
Oh.
the church.
Did you have anything for the board, Mr. Menudas?
Oh,
Carmen calls it blue.
That's all. Mr. Leverett took my 3 minutes.
Trustee Castle, did you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, I do have a comment, and because there's been a lot of talk, discussion today about the water problem in Flint that has spilled over a little bit to our township. And I would just like to take a few minutes, less than three, I think, to read an article that was in the Detroit Free Press 2 or 3 weeks ago, authored by Mitch Albom, who's a Detroit Free Press columnist. Used to be a sports columnist, now he's a general columnist. He's also written several books. And he wrote an article in the opinion page, I think, called Flint's Child's Concern is a Disturbing Fear. And with your indulgence, Madam Supervisor, I think it'll take 3 minutes or less. And here it is. The day before MSNBC came to Flint for a show it would label American Disaster, I went for a less ambitious effort. A radio program to talk with people affected by the water crisis. Several experts joined us, as did Flint Mayor Karen Weaver, in an auditorium inside the Flint Institute of Arts. A few dozen citizens dropped by. Toward the end, we took a microphone out to them. A man with his young daughter was asked how he felt. Although his voice quivered, his words did not. Completely betrayed by our leaders. We don't know what to believe. Then his 10-year-old daughter Meredith was given the microphone. She was a pretty thin girl with hair parted in the middle and a face clear and bright with promise. Are you scared? I asked her. Yeah, she said, I take school seriously. I want to become smart, and I'm afraid this is going to make me not become smart. Let me not let me be my fullest self. We can scream all we want in this man-made fiasco. We can complain the governor or the emergency manager he put in charge. We can accuse water experts, bureaucrats, the city council. We can spin this into our own political agendas, say it is proof of failed policies and heads must roll. And none of that will mean a thing to that 10-year-old girl. And she is all we should be thinking about. There are few issues in this world that make people drop their differences. One is the welfare of children. I can tell you, when young Meredith Knight said she was worried about not being smart, the entire room sagged with a desire to comfort her. We should be playing up that part of us. It is the only way to lift this crisis from something toxic, on more levels than one, to something positive. There are already critics diminishing this story, pointing to previous lead levels, saying this is unwarranted hysteria. It brings to mind the email released by Governor Rick Snyder's office that cited a Flint resident who claimed she was told by a state nurse when asking about elevated lead levels in her son's blood, it's only a few IQ points, not the end of the world. How would you feel if that was your child? We shouldn't bicker over how big this problem is, because any problem that worries children about their future is big enough. The fact is, the kids the most affected by elevated blood levels in Flint's water were already facing a huge uphill battle. Poverty, joblessness, lack of access to quality medical care. Every toxic stress imaginable, said Dr. Mona Hanna Atisha, who has become the face of the medical fight in Flint. We have a 40% poverty rate, high levels of unemployment, high rates of violence. We have a 20-year less life expectancy in Flint than we do in Flushing. We had all these other obstacles, and then we gave our children lead. The insidious thing about lead poisoning is it doesn't take much, and prolonged exposure, particularly in infants, can be devastating. While we were in Flint that day, we met numerous parents who expressed guilt, their eyes lowered, their heads shaking, as if trying to take back every glass of water, every bath, even though it was not their fault. There are two things Flint must do now. One is insist loudly that all filtration plans are beyond reproach, which is not the case with Friday's news that even with filtration, some Flint homes still have too much lead to be reduced. The other is that Flint kids, particularly those under 6 years old, the most developmentally vulnerable, about 9,000 or 10,000, Hannah Tisha said, should be showered with everything from nutrition programs, healthy food access, excellent preschool, reading, and mental health initiatives. In short, we should go from treating them like paupers to young princes and princesses. You know, the way kids from wealthy families are treated every day. And whatever it costs, and now for years to come, the government should pay for, because the government, whether part of you want, whichever part you want to blame, did this. You can't undo the damage done, but you can counter it to some degree by how much you nourish and care for those young minds. And in doing so, we could turn this horrible liability into future assets. Because right now we can only agree on one thing. It should be that no kid in our state should ever have to wonder if he or she will grow up to be smart. The adults have already proven how dangerous that can be. And I thought that was a great article, and it's just an indication of how bad public officials and bad administrators and bad elected officials, what they can do to hurt a community. Thank you.
Thank you for that article, and I just want to reiterate, at our last meeting, we had John O'Brien, the Deputy Drain Commissioner, come and address the board, and he talked about where our township water comes from. And for many years, the city of Flint purchased their water through contract from the Detroit water system. And back in 2014, with the KWA contract being voted on, and sooner or later switching over to the KWA water, the city of Flint got out of the contract, but the county stayed with Detroit Water. The Drain Commission signed a contract with Detroit Water System for all the townships in Genesee County. That also includes some cities that buy their water from Genesee County on wholesale. We're a retail customer. There are some cities who do the work themselves as far as having a DPW. They buy their water from Genesee County Drain Commission wholesale. Anyway, just to reiterate, the water that we have in the township is from the Detroit water system, which comes out of a 120-inch pipe that comes from Lake Huron and runs along the south side of I-69. In Lapeer, it splits. Half that pipe goes to service people in Detroit down through Pontiac area. And the other half comes this way, and it goes up, did he say Baxter and Potter Road? And then it's distributed in a loop around the county to all their residents. So just to assure Flint Township residents, we have water that comes from Lake Huron from Detroit Water System, except for the 28 roughly franchise customers who are noted that they are franchise customers on their bill. The service address has the letters FCW at the end of it. So thank you for that, bringing that up. Any other trustee reports? Do you have anything to report from the senior center, Trustee Vert?
The health fair, I think is March 31st, but I don't have the time. I'll have to get back to you on that. And they're having another dance night on March, I think 18th from 5 to 7. It's a tribute to Frank Sinatra. And
What's the
tickets
date
are
on
$5. March 18th, I think. 18th or 22nd.
Okay, and I know.
Tickets. They're not on sale yet, but they will be shortly.
All right, and you'll let us know. And we have, we link the senior center website with our website, so you can also find that information. And we have newsletters that are available for anybody. You pass them out there, and we pass them out here for you. And we have being on the Parks and Recs committee, we have an agenda on the an item on the agenda, and as Mr. Piggott will present to us coming up, we need to look at getting more volunteers to serve on the Parks and Recs committee going forward for 2016. So we can talk about that, and I don't know if you want the clerk to put it in the newspaper or put it online, how you want to proceed, but that's something we need to address. Anything, Trustee Parker? We'll move on to general reports. Chief Sippert, do you have a report for us this evening?
Just a brief update on our recruiting and hiring efforts. On this last round, we received 34 applications, as I have reported previously. 28 of those applicants met the minimum requirements for entry-level police officer. They were all invited back to take the written examination. Only 19 came and took the written test. Out of those 19, 12 passed the test and went on to the interview portion of the testing process. After the interview portion, 8 candidates actually passed. And we have begun background investigations on 5 of those applicants, and I hope to have 3 to 5 entry-level names to be hired at our next board meeting. The struggles that we are having are indicative of a nationwide problem of finding young people that want to become law enforcement officers. It may be worse in our area, but every police department is struggling with those issues. And we will be going through the testing process again, probably in May. So if you know anybody that meets the minimum standards, qualifications, we are certainly interested in having them fill out an application and go through the testing process.
And so when we post for police officer positions, you go through the trade magazines with MCOLs?
We go online. We have to post in the Flint Journal. It roughly costs us $1,000 every time we advertise for police officers for posting requirements under the Civil Service Act. So we put it out statewide.
So I know how difficult it is to communicate information with almost 32,000 residents. I had a request that we would take that posting when we're hiring for police and place it, or at least get it to the churches. They reach a lot of people. I know we go through the newspaper, we go on our website, your website.
We post at the universities and colleges. We go to the police academies in person and recruit and hand out applications. I'm certainly not opposed to going to the churches, but I mean, we do have specific requirements, and so it's usually people that are seeking out that position that actually meet the qualifications.
All right. Do you have anything else in your report? Assistant Chief Berkeley, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, in your board packets, on the Flint Township Fire Department website, and there is a few copies up there, you'll find a 2015 annual report from the fire department. It briefly overviews what the fire department's been doing through the year of 2015, staffing levels, response times, retirements, equipment upgrades, grants obtained, cost recovery. It covers a variety of things: fire inspection, fire prevention. And in the back is some graphs showing our response times, the time of year where the calls are the highest, seniority list and them sort of things. So again, this will be found on the Flint Township Fire Department website, and there is some copies here. If there's any questions, feel free to stop down to Fire Station 1 and I can answer questions for you. That's all I have.
So, one thing I wanted to ask about that report, as we look at safety for our residents, we look at, I think, 2 items to tell us how safe our residents are as far as fire service. One would be response time, which you've
Absolutely.
included here. 2 is the ISO rating. Can you get that for, I know part of the ISO ratings comes from the building department and part of the ISO rating comes from,
Insurance companies.
right, but can you get that information?
Last time I knew, it was around a 7, but there's people that dispute that and say it's lower than that. The ISO rating, right now, we don't have the personnel or manpower to go through an ISO rating scoring. It is very intensive. It's a lot of time, paperwork to get everything lined up, to get a scoring from, and they will come in and do it. but it's a lot of work and we don't have the people.
We can talk about that. You received something last year, was it Tracy, on our eyes? Okay. Can you get that for the trustees, please? Not now, but in our next report.
Ours?
You, yeah,
The one from last year?
yeah.
Okay, I thought I gave it to you back then.
You might have. Thank you. So we can talk about that coming up. Do you have anything else in your report, Assistant Chief Berkeley?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mrs. Tucker, do you have a report for us this evening?
Not too much. I did stick in your packets for informational, just a revenue breakdown from January. They had 308 certificates, 106 permits, those are the major things. The certificates were mostly business licenses. This is just a revenue report. I'm trying to get a little bit better one for you through BSNA that'll show how many actual inspections we do and also how many enforcements we do through the code enforcement officers. But every report you do on BSNA has to be set up a certain way, and they haven't done that yet. So I'm hoping we have something like that for you by next month. Also, Five Guys Burgers and Fries should be opening the first week of March, I believe. Also, Chipotle is getting close. IHOP's looking like it won't be until June, and I think that's all we've got going right now of the new builds. You know, my family puppy was doing they were moving in the mall. They should be opening, having their grand opening in the new section this week, actually. So I don't know when they're gonna actually do their grand opening, but I know they were moving to the new store by Sears yesterday, so.
Where are we with the development at Pirates Park?
We received information, I received some information from Mr. Diacenzo in the end of December that they were still working on the site plan and we should receive something by March. So I'm hoping we'll have something by the March meeting. Also, our Planning Commission had a meeting last Thursday. There was only one item on the agenda and it was a special land use for a property at the corner of Calkins and Dye on the northeast corner. We have a charter school that wants to go in there, and although it's been a church and a school for many years, we felt because the church section was leaving and it was just going to be a school by itself, we felt it needed to have the special land use. That did pass, and they'll have to come back for site plan review.
Okay. Good.
That's it.
Thank you very much. So at this time, we'll move on to public comment. If you'd like to address the board, I'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to address the board.
Good evening. My name is John Whiteside, 2161 South Elm, Swartz Creek. I want to talk just for a couple minutes on the agenda item B, which is a road plan for this construction year. I've been a member of the advisory committee for 10 years, and over those years we spent countless hours of our own time evaluating the roads, working with the different parts of the Genesee County Road Commission, supervisor of the Road Commission, to put a plan in place that the committee feels is the best way to spend our road millage money. We've learned a lot over the years, refined our planning and our practices to try to get the best bang for our dollars. Agenda item B includes 4 road projects, 2 big projects and 2 small projects. Obviously, to fix all the roads this township needs fixed, it would cost millions of dollars. So we as a committee have done our due diligence and research to try to get the best bang for our dollar. Township board last year had decided to put in addition to the Graham Road project, which was from the Genesee Valley Trail Bridge down to Beveridge. The cost of the Graham Road project exceeds our road budget advisory, our road advisory budget. That's from Beecher Road all the way to Beveridge. As I said, this year's project, including the 2 big projects, that is finishing the Calkins Road project that we have left from the previous 2 years, and a couple smaller neighborhood projects along the Graham Road. What I'm asking is the board consider using some general fund money to complete these projects. After all, it is all the taxpayers' money. If this isn't approved, the advisory committee will have to eliminate projects from that list. The township board has approved using general fund dollars in the past to help with road projects. Graham Road was moved up on our priority list due to the deterioration of the road. The road has a school located on it, it's a school bus route, and it's also kind of a route between Crunner Road and Beecher Road. Road millage for years has been used to pay for some special assessments the township was liable for. But over the 10 years, we've used the funds for small neighborhood projects. We always try to include one big project in our plan. So I hope the board supports agenda item B. And our next big area of business as advisory committees, we need to come up with the next 3 years of our road millage plans to submit to the board and then on to the Genesee County Road Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteside.
Madam Chairman, my name is John Lawrence. My address is 6199 Calkins Road. And I also have had the privilege of serving on the Township Road Advisory Committee. I want to thank the board for establishing that committee. It gives some of us citizens an opportunity to see what the requirements are, to see what funds are available, and to do a little bartering amongst ourselves and look and be honest with each other about what really needs to be accomplished first. And I appreciate the board establishing that committee. I too, like John, as stated, would like to see the board put some general revenue into the road budget this year, and especially in continuing years. I'm aware that the board always has sort of a tug and pull situation, trying to provide for employees of the township as well as providing services to the citizens. That's always a struggle. I understand that. Before this millage was in place, the half mill, the road projects pretty much came out of the general fund, is my understanding. And at this time, with the revenues going down because of property values dropping, I think it's imperative with a surplus that it would be wise of the board to try to augment the road fund a little bit. As I've been aware, we get more and more input from the citizens of roads that are in desperate need of repair, and we try to remedy those, and some have been pushed back, as John stated, and some have been pulled forward. We have some that are just really crumbling at this point and need some desperate assistance, and I think it would be wise for the board to augment that budget as the committee has suggested. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
99 Calkins Road. Get that, George?
My name is Gerald Roberts, 4487 Lindywood Drive, Swartz Creek, Michigan. A couple meetings ago, we had a gentleman come in. He's the mayor of Flushing, and he represented Consumers Power with regard to wanting to replace some of our lights at a cost of something like $32,000. And at that particular point, it was noted that there was quite a few of our lights out. Last meeting, Mr. Spiff, I think that's how you pronounce his name, voiced his concern to the board, and he counted I don't know how many lights that had been out that Consumers Power had not replaced under the normal contract that we have with them with regard to doing that. I would think, first of all, I'm going to ask a question. I know that you can't answer it back to me because you haven't done that in the past. But what's the board's response to Mr. Stiff as a constituent and a resident and also a business owner of what the board has done with regard to contacting Consumers Power and resolving that particular matter? I think that in the future, that when concerned people in the business community and also residents have a question to answer the board, we don't want to have the standard protocol of saying, come on in and you can talk to us in there, because in my personal view, it doesn't work, okay? What we need is from you, the board, once a question like that is raised, is to come in and the next meeting, write it down, what those particular items are, and give us an answer. We've contacted them. Consumers Power says that they're gonna do this. There's a planned project on when they're gonna replace those lights and everything like that. My second item is it's been 15 and a half months since we passed the safety millage, and we still do not have fire station number 1 here open. And we do not have a fire chief. My question is, for the next meeting, is what is being done, in other words, to solve those two problems? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? No? So we'll draw this portion of the meeting to a close, and anyone is welcome to come in and talk to us during business hours, but since Tracy, you, and this is for the board, a report to the board, you went out with one of the code enforcers. The procedure for any issue, whether it's a garbage issue, a road issue, or a streetlight issue, power issue, we work in cooperation with agencies such as Road Commission, Drain Commission, Consumers Energy, and you can either make a phone call, which several people do. They'll call in and report a light out or a pothole or a broken water main, and Rose turns around and we call it in, or we'll email it over to the Road Commission. There's several ways to do it. For the lighting, we call it in, we email it in, and you can also go on their website and do it yourself, or we'll do it. But I know that there was a large number of lights out, and we don't have a standard protocol as how they're handled, because I know Bernard's been out and done it. I've taken Rose out in the evening. You can only identify a street light that's out in the evening, because you can't tell if it's out during the daytime. They won't come out and fix it unless there's an address to go to it. You can't tell them near Linden and Corunna. They have to have an address. So we had you go out, and would you report to the board what you did with streetlights?
Because we weren't getting any response, I actually contacted Kevin Keene and asked to get maps of the lights to make it a little bit easier for us to mark which ones are out and which ones are working fine. They did give us those for the entire township. I went out personally with one of the code enforcement officers. We went out, I think it was like 5 or 6 nights. I had them come in late and then stay late, and then so we weren't paying overtime. And we went out and we mapped the lights on Linden Road, Corunna Road, Miller, a portion of Miller, Dye Road, Calkins Road, where we were getting complaints on Corunna Road. And we sent those maps back to consumers with the noted lights that were out. I have noticed that most of the lights on Linden Road have been fixed. The one that really concerns me is the ones on Norco, right by our police station. There's a whole section out. And from what Kevin said, I'm wondering if there is an issue there that has to do with the lines themselves. And they have to wait till the spring to fix those. And some of the lights on Corunna Road are on, so I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand what's going on. I can try contacting them again to find out if there's a better way. I mean, I thought using their maps would be the best way, because it shows everything. And you know, some of these lights aren't in front of an address. I mean, they want you to, if you call in, if you know a light's out and you know the address, you can go. It's very simple to go on their website and put it in, and that's what they want. And I told them that if the mapping was not what they wanted, to let us know, and we would go back out. I could actually probably do it on pictometry and get each address for them, but they never contacted us back. So
So we're waiting them to fix the several lights that are out. I know there's a downed light on Charter between Court and Calkins, and we've called that in. I don't know if you guys have called it in, but we've called it in at least 3 times and went via email to Diane at the Consumers Energy. So we're at the mercy of Consumers Energy for them to fix what we've put a complaint in for. So we have addressed that issue. I don't know what more we can do besides bringing it to their attention to fix this, because we don't have a DPW department that fixes that. We're at the mercy of the Road Commission, the Drain Commission, and Consumers Energy. So if you have any questions and aren't satisfied with the answer, you can contact Tracy Tucker. But we, 10 hours, how many hours would you say you spent? 12 to 14 hours reviewing streetlight outages in our township just
Well, the
recently.
problem is it's difficult to do because you're on busy roads and you're driving down and you're trying
To do it with someone.
That's why it's easier to do with a map, because you can count them as you're going, you can count there and count on the person riding can count them and mark them as you go. And so we were actually able to cover quite a bit of ground. It's just that I didn't get a confirmation from them that they did everything. And I don't normally deal with them. So, I mean, if you want us to deal with it from here on out, at least on the mapping and stuff or follow-up, that's fine.
Madam Supervisor, I'm not sure why we're at their mercy. I mean, they're obligated to fix these lights, aren't they? And we have a contract with them.
Right.
We pay, and they're supposed to undertake.
That's what bothers me, that we didn't receive follow-up. If the issue with the lights over on Norco, which there's like, what, 6 lights? Right in a row?
That's been an issue for years.
Yeah, and if
For-
the
for
issue
a couple
is that
years.
there's a bad line, then they could contact me back and say, these ones we weren't able to fix because it's a bad line, and you'll have to wait. These ones have been done, these ones have a bad sensor or whatever, and we have to wait. And if they have to wait, that's fine, if there's something special that needs to be done. But there doesn't seem to be any communication back and forth, and I think maybe we need to get a contact person that we are dealing with so that we can get answers.
So the lights on
Oh, I know
Norco,
that, but I need
right
more.
after we did that project, I worked with John Plamondon for 2 seasons in a row because they'd get the lights working and then they were out again. So you're right. We need to get a meeting to figure out, I mean, they're the ones who fix them. We don't. We don't have the equipment. We don't have the ability to do that. We report it.
If you want me to try to set up something with Kevin and to try to get to the bottom of this, I can. I just didn't know how far you wanted me going with this, because I know it's usually handled through your offices. So if that's what you want, I will do that.
Thank you.
Well, maybe you should take our attorney at such a meeting, and the end result might be if you're breaching your contract by not maintaining the lights, then we won't pay our bill. We got a big bill we're paying every month, right?
Trustee Menendez, did you have something to say?
Tracy, who's the fellow in charge of consumers here locally?
The governmental person is Kevin Keene.
Who?
Kevin Keene, the one that came in and did the presentation.
Kevin Teen?
Keene, K-E-A-N-E. He's the governmental liaison, as far as I know.
What we ought to do is, we ought to contact him and get the police chief to go over there and pretend like he's gonna arrest him.
Okay,
That's a
I
good
think we
idea.
will
I
move
like
on
that.
here
Better than a lawyer.
to action items.
You gotta go with me, George.
No.
Wear your uniform.
And I want to welcome Doug Piggott from Row Engineering, and he has been working with the Parks and Recs Committee. We're updating the master plan. It's required by law that we update our master plan every 5 years, and we also have a Parks and Recs master plan. And so, as part of our big plan, the Parks and Recs master plan is up for
Update.
renewal. Anyway, Trustee Vert, did you have anything to say about this, since you've been really spearheading the work with Row Engineering on our committee?
Well, first of all, thank you, Doug, for all your help. The one thing that we did a little different this time, and you can help me if I'm not clear on this, is that we did not have an open house correct? We had more of what is called, provider interviews, yes. And we had about 10 of those done. And they were very, very helpful, and they came from different areas in the township. Can I list who they were? Do you mind if I do that? They're in the plan. Did everybody get a chance to look at them? The board, have you looked at them?
I don't know if they have theirs in the back. We had them out here, and all of the copies that you dropped off to us
Right.
went away, and a resident came in. I gave him my copy because he wanted to do some additional
Okay.
changes. So go ahead and read them.
Right, so we had the Flint River Watershed Coalition, we had the Flint River Trail, Flint Township Police Department, that was Chief Seppert. We had the Genesee Wanderers Bicycle Club, which was Mr. Ossenmacher. Flint Rotary, Carmen Ainsworth Senior Center, Pause, who they have fundraisers at our township park. I think once a year they have those. We had the Flint Yard and Garden Club, which was Gloria Neely. She's a master gardener. We had Teresa and Joe from Crim Fitness, and then a teacher and a coach from Carmen Ainsworth High School, Jessica Matthews. And they all gave input for this, and we really appreciate them doing that.
So we also had copies available for anybody who wanted to review the draft, and we also posted on our website if anyone was interested. Is there anything that you wanted to say to the board as we go forward with the public hearing?
I guess simply that, this is the product of some hard work by the rec committee. The committee reviewed the plan at their own public hearing in the end of January. They did identify 3 or 4 typos and asked for a new cover that we're going to make it a little more interesting looking cover, but the guts of the plan, the policy and the recommendations, they were very comfortable with and voted unanimously to recommend adoption by the township board.
So do we have any questions for Mr. Piggott? And if we don't, then we're going to open up the public hearing. Any questions for Mr. Piggott? So we would like to, at this point, before we go forward, just acknowledge those people who serve on the Parks and Recreation Committee for Flint Township.
Supervisor Miller, Chuck Hughes.
Chuck, can you stand, please? Chuck Hughes is a member of that committee. Barb Vert's a member of the committee. Jackie Perina. I am. Dr. Peter Michelins. Jim McClung served for president for several years. George Marins was a part of this. Have I left anybody out? And so I just wanted to say, if anybody's interested, it's a fun committee to serve on because you get to do things that you like to do as far as beautifying the township. If you want to volunteer to do something, you can. If you don't come. Anyhow, well, some people like getting their hands dirty planting stuff, and we do a cleanup day in the park. We clean up the trail. The trail's been an asset to this community. And Crim Fitness is trying to make it a part of their training program. So again, if you're interested, please contact the township and talk to Barb Vert or myself, and we'd love to have you be a part of that. So at this point, I'd like to open up the podium, and if you are interested in speaking during the public hearing on the 2016-2020 Parks and Recreation Master Plan Draft, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak on the master plan for Parks and Recs. I know that there was someone who was interested in having input. If we vote on this tonight, is it a done deal then, right?
The purpose on adopting it at this point is because in order for you to be eligible, if you want to apply for grants for this funding cycle, it has to be to the state by March 1st. That doesn't mean you can't amend it. So if at any time in the next 5 years, next month, or 3 months from now, you choose to make amendments to the plan, you're perfectly able to do so.
Very much. One last time, is there anyone who'd like to address the board during the public hearing for the 2016 to the 2020 Parks and Recreation Master Plan?
I'm Gene Leverett from 5210 Scenic View Drive. And I would like to ask a question now. Have all of the residents been notified or seen this plan? Or will they be notified? Or?
There was a public notice on the plan's availability. It was a 30-day notice. The notice indicated that copies of the plan were available for public inspection. There was also a notification on the township website and a link at the township website to a copy of the plan. So there wasn't an individual notice sent to every resident, but there was a public notice made available for over 30 days of both this hearing and the hearing that the Parks and Recreation Committee had earlier at the end of January.
Circulation went to the Flint Journal on January 10th, 2016. Notice of public review and public hearing, Flint Township 5-year Parks and Recreation Plan. Was in the newspaper, was in the Flint Journal.
I didn't see one, that's why I'm asking.
Anyone else? Oh,
I'd like to just make a comment, because I want to thank the Parks and Rec Committee for doing this and working with Doug. I know Doug is very easy to work with. He's working with us on the zoning update. If this volunteer group didn't work on this, this would be something else that the Planning Commission would have to do. And be perfectly honest with you, these people spend a lot more time on it than I would be able to dedicate to it. And I'm really thankful that they have worked with him on this, because it did take a load off me, and it is something that we're required as a township to have. So it's very important that we have this. Our master plan will refer to this document, and it's very important that we have this in case we want grant funds to help with anything that we're doing. I spoke with Barb. Karen sent me to a meeting a couple weeks ago for the Flint Water Trail, that they're trying to get recognition from the U.S. Parks and Rec, or the U.S. Park Service, as a historic trail, or as a water trail, national water trail. So this will help with that as well. And that's a recognition that if we can get, will be very good for this area and bring a lot of tourism. So
that was the Flint River water.
Our water trail, yeah.
And you went to the meeting for the Flint River Watershed Coalition, right?
Yeah, well, those were two different things. Although we thought it was a watershed meeting that I was going to, the second time it was the water trail, because it was the same lady that called me, and I thought she said watershed, so I went, but it was water trail, and I talked to Barb about that after, and give her the information and let her know that we will get any further meetings on that. I'll still go to them, but I get them the information so that their group can go as well, because I think that will be helpful for them too in doing their work as the Parks and Rec Committee. So
We're gonna talk about that at our next meeting.
Which is?
Thursday is.
18th.
This Thursday's the 18th, or the following. It should be the following, a week from
25th.
February 25th at
Yeah,
noon.
there we go.
We'll be at noon, Barb.
I'm like, what?
It's at noon
At
here.
noon, 12 o'clock here.
That's on our website calendar
Yes.
also.
Yes.
So, last chance to speak on the during the public hearing for the Parks and Recs Master Plan for 2016 to the 2020 draft. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and a motion would be in order to approve the 2016 to the 2020 Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Madam Supervisor, actually, the motion needs to be to approve there's a resolution of adoption. That's in the packet.
Yeah.
Is there anyone making that motion?
So move.
Support.
Are there any questions on approving the resolution?
I just want to say, Madam Supervisor, I reviewed the plan and it was thorough and educational, and I want to compliment the people who worked on it, which apparently are at least some of the people here, and it was a job well done. And certainly hope we can do some of these things that are in there. All we need is money, right?
Any other discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to approve the resolution for the Charter Township of Flint Parks and Recreation 2016 to 2020 master plan.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Courts, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Burt?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Action item B is to consider the approving the projects for 2016. It's paving and milling, and you have in your packet the explanation. Where is it? Let me get to it.
Please. Take it apart. It's been down here just a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Piggott. I appreciate you coming, and thank you for the work that you did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. So with unanimous recommendation from the Road Advisory Committee, please consider the request to approve the funding for the following road projects to be completed during the 2016 construction season. Sugar Bush and Dyecrest Circle will be paid with road millage funds. Graham Road will be paid with road millage funds that are available after Sugar Bush and Dyecrest are paid for. Then general funds will be used to pay the balance, and Calkins Road will be paid for out of general funds to complete the project with approval of a budget amendment.
I move approval. Whoops.
Wait, that was together now.
George can make the motion. He's older than I
I
am.
move.
Second
really.
by
Age before beauty.
I'm only a couple of years older than you.
So who's making the motion?
Move approval.
Mr. Menudas made the motion, supported by Mr. Castle.
Okay.
Are there any questions or discussion on this?
I have some.
Trustee Burt?
I can't support using general fund for the roads. I keep thinking about this, and I keep thinking about Graham Road, which has been in really rough shape for a long time. I feel that Sugar Bush and Dyecrest can wait. And I think that you just need to keep the road millage funds working the best you can, but using I can't support it. I can't, so.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah,
Trustee
I too,
Parker?
I agree with Trustee Burt. I feel that road millage funds should be used for the roads, and we should not be using, the general fund to support these projects.
Anything else?
One more thing, is that I know the road advisory committee, I know you guys work really hard, and I understand that, but I still can't support this particular one.
Any other comments?
Well, you know, the road millage fund doesn't raise enough money to do all the work that's needed. And when we have people serving on a board, like the road advisory board, that spends a lot of time in nitpicking what roads have to be repaired, fixed, and maintained, if it has to come out of general fund and we have the money, it's not there for salaries, it's there to fix the roads. And that's why I made the motion.
Any other discussion?
I just want to say too that, you know, the money might be here now, but if you look at the budget a few years down the road, it doesn't look all that great. So instead of living on champagne and caviar, I don't want to go back to bread and water. And that's just my opinion. There are roads that have been done here. I mean, I won't get into the Calkins Road thing because there was extra money spent on a certain part of Calkins Road that really, really did not need to be done, and everybody knows that. Graham Road, and there's other roads that do need to be taken care of, and they should set priority, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna stick with that.
So, any other discussion? I just wanted to say as a member of the road advisory that you say Calkins Road didn't need to be done. That was submitted in the road plan that the Road Advisory Committee gave to this board to approve to send over to the Road Commission. Because in order to access their allocated funds, we had to have a plan because they wanted a plan and not willy-nilly. So Calkins Road was on that list when we submitted that to this board for approval.
Not
We-
this half.
Yes. There was 3 sections of Calkins Road to be done in 3 consecutive cycles.
But they did get switched in the cycle, am I correct?
They got switched, but it was still a 3, instead of starting on that end, we started on that end. So, and this board approved that. So one thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention was, as we're talking about money, I brought the figures. Our Charter Township of Flint 2016-2017 projected general fund budget. I have projections on the road millage. And one thing I wanted to say is that our road millage, 0.5 mils, has, in 2010, maybe was going back to 2009, that's when I started on the road advisory, we had $559,522 to work with. And of course, we pay special assessments, we pay for dust prevention, signal charges, ditching and culverts. So we had that, 2016, we have $374,000 to work with. And in our general fund budget, we have revenues of $10,300,000 roughly. Revenues, and our expenses are 10.2. So suffice it to say that we have a $4 million surplus in our general fund. We're at 40. That's 40% of our budget. I know when we do budgeting, it's recommended through a general accounting principles that we have at least 30% of our total budget for in our general fund for savings. At least 3 to 4 months of operating expenses that we save in reserves. So we're at 40.90%. So I know we have the money to be used on the roads, and all I want to say is that road millage are the residents' taxes restricted to improving and maintaining the roads. General fund dollars are residents' taxes that aren't restricted that way. And I agree with John Whiteside. They're the taxes. They should be used to serve the residents. So is there any further discussion on our projects that were recommended by the road advisory? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the 2016 road projects to be done.
Ms. Courts, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Munitis?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
No.
Mrs. Parker?
No.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Did you vote?
Yes, I did. I was first.
I didn't hear. Thank you. Thank you. Action item C is to consider the appointment to the Genesee County Metropolitan Alliance, filling Mr. Arceo's resignation. And I make a recommendation that we appoint John Whiteside, who's served on the Road Advisory Committee since its inception. And the position on Metro Alliance, Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission is the one who gives the plans to the Road Commission on how to spend the federal funding. So Tracy goes to the 8 o'clock meetings for the general membership Planning Commission meetings. Mr. Arceo used to go to Metro Alliance on Wednesday evenings, and Mike Pfeiffer goes to the TAC meetings, which are the Technical Advisory Committee meetings that meet at 1 p.m. on Thursdays once a month. So I'm making a recommendation that we have John Whiteside represent the township on Metro Alliance.
Madam Supervisor, I'm going to make the motion. But we all ought to recognize John Whiteside because he's devoted a lot of hours, a lot of days working for this township in various capacities. So it's my privilege to recommend appointing John Whiteside to that position.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Are there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing John Whiteside to the Metro Alliance of the Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And someone who's in the audience who I didn't hear recognized tonight, we have John Whiteside, who's Secretary of the Road Advisory. John Lawrence is a new member, and we appreciate his service. I want to recognize Dave Huffman, who has served on that Road Advisory since 2006. So anybody else? I don't think so. We appreciate your service, and we thank you for what you do. And oh, Jean Leverette's a brand new Road Advisory member too. Thank you very much. Is there any, without objection, and since there's no further business, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
No. I had heard. No, this is, she's not here.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
We taught him how to hit a baseball. How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?